Solve absolute value equations and inequalities. So we're going to start with the equations, then we'll shift to the inequalities. So your warm-up there asks if the absolute value of x equals 7, what are the possible values of x? So what numbers, there are two that we can take the absolute value of and we can get 7. Jason.
-7 positive 7.
Exactly. All right, so x can equal positive 7 and it can equal -7. Because when we take the absolute value of both of those numbers, we end up with positive 7. Now let's look at the second one. If the absolute value of x equals -4, what are the possible values of x? If the absolute value equals -4, can the absolute value equal a negative number?
No.
No. There are none. There are none. None would be the answer to the question. What are the possible values of x? There are none. But if that were just an equation, then yes, your answer would be no solution. Okay? There's no way to take the absolute value and get a negative number, because what the absolute value means is what is the distance from this number to 0. So distances are always positive. We don't talk about negative distance. We only ever deal with positive distance. That's the technical definition of the absolute value. So we're not going to solve equations that are, that's not really even an equation. Okay, it is an equation because it has an equal sign, but absolute value of x equals 7, that's just too easy. So we're going to add a little bit to it, but here are your steps. You're going to isolate the absolute value expression. So if there's anything multiplied in front of it, anything added or subtracted from it, you need to move that over to the other side. Then we're going to end up with two cases because of warm-up number 1 right here. If we take the absolute value, whatever's in there can be equal to both the positive and the negative value. We're going to solve both equations, and we're going to check for extraneous solutions. Now, we've got a little space here to write down what is an extraneous solution. It is an answer you get when you solve. Answer found when solving. But it doesn't check out. It doesn't work when you plug it back in. So that's going to happen sometimes with these. We're going to get an answer, but when we plug it back in to check it, it's not going to work out. The left side is not going to equal the right side. So we're going to throw it out. Okay, so let's solve a few of these. They really are easy. You've just got to remember that you always have to set up two cases. So if we've got the absolute value of x minus 9 is equal to 5, we need to isolate the absolute value expression. Well, it is isolated. There's nothing in front of it. There's nothing outside those absolute value bars, so we can split it into our two cases. Okay, we can split it into our two cases here. So we've got x minus 9 is equal to positive 5. And if x minus 9 is equal to negative 5, when we take the absolute value of it, it will equal positive 5. So these are the two equations that we're solving. So we add 9 in both of them, but we get 14 for one of them, and we get 4 for the other one. Negative 5 plus 9 is 4. Quick check. 14 minus 9 is 5. The absolute value of 5 is 5. 4 minus 9 is negative 5, but the absolute value of that is positive 5. So both of these, 14 and 4, are our solutions. Okay. Number 4, 3 is equal to the absolute value of 2k plus 7. Again, it's isolated. Nothing's outside of it, nothing's in front of it, so we can just split it into the two cases. I like my variable to be on the left side, so I'm just going to flip it around. Okay, 2k is equal to 3, and 2k plus 7 is equal to negative 3. And we're going to solve both of these. Subtract 7. 2k is equal to negative 4. Divide by 2. So for this one, k is equal to negative 2. For the other one, subtract 7. Same steps, we're just going to get different numbers. Negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. Divided by 2, we get negative 5. Plug them back in. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 7 is 3. Absolute value of 3 is 3. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. The absolute value of negative 3 is positive 3. So both of these check out, negative 2 and negative 5. Pretty simple, right? All right, so let's look at number 5. Number 5's got a little bit more going on. Here is the first case where we have to get this absolute value expression by itself because we're adding 17 to the end of it. Okay? We cannot, I repeat, you cannot ever change what's inside the absolute value. Okay? You cannot change what's inside the absolute value. So that 17 has to be moved to the other side. How do we move the 17 to the other side? Subtraction. Because we are adding, so the opposite is to subtract. So we've got the absolute value of y minus 1. Now notice I always make sure my absolute value bars are a little bit taller than my numbers, especially when I've got a 1 in there, because I don't want to think that that's an 11. So the absolute value of y minus 1 is equal to 6. And then we break it into the two cases. Y minus 1 is equal to positive 6. Y minus 1 is equal to negative 6. So we add 1 and get 7. We add 1 and get negative 5. Make sure they check out. 7 minus 1 is 6. 6 plus 17 is 23. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. The absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. 6 plus 17 is 23. Okay, what do we need to do on number 6 to get that absolute value by itself? Divide by 3. Okay, we divide by that 3 because we're multiplying the absolute value by 3. So we divide both sides by 3. So we have the absolute value of m plus 8 is equal to 13. 39 divided by 3 is 13. Absolute values by itself, so we split it into two cases. M plus 8 is equal to 13. M plus 8 is equal to negative 13. So subtract 8. M is equal to 5. Subtract 8. M is equal to negative 21. Both of those work when you plug them back in. Now I know that I'm checking it by mental math, but just as a reminder, where the absolute value button is on your calculator. So if we were to check number 6 using our calculator, it'd be 3. We go over to math, num. First option right there is the absolute value. So if we're checking negative 21 plus 8, it gives us 39. Okay? Okay, let's look at 7 and 8. What do we do on number 7? First step. Divide by the 16. Because we're multiplying by 16, we divide by 16. Absolute value of r minus 5 is equal to what? Negative 2. Is that a problem? Yeah. Absolute value cannot be equal to a negative number. So this one has no solution. 0 with a line through it. No solution. Because your absolute value cannot equal a negative number. Now, if you were not thinking about that at all and you went ahead and solved it, you would get 2 answers, but when you plug them back in, there's no way that it would equal negative 32. So you would throw both of them out. Okay, number 8. Absolute value of y minus 10 over negative 2 is equal to negative 6. What can we do to that?
Multiply by negative 2.
Yes, multiply both sides by negative 2. And looky there, we don't have a problem like the previous one because now it's equal to a positive number. So we set our two cases, y minus 10 is equal to 12, y minus 10 is equal to negative 12. Add 10 to both sides, y equals 22. Add 10 to both sides, y equals negative 2. Check them out real quick. 22 minus 10 is 12. 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12. The absolute value of that is positive 12. Positive 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. So both of those work out. All right. We've got a few more examples, and then I'm going to let y'all practice with this for a minute. Okay, number 9. Negative 5 is equal to the absolute value of 8 minus p minus 11. Okay, so we need to add 11 to both sides. Negative 5 plus 11 is 6. So our absolute value is equal to a positive number, so we're good. We can split it into two cases. Positive 6 is equal to 8 minus p. Negative 6 is equal to 8 minus p. Subtract 8 from both sides. Negative 2 is equal to negative p. So it will become positive because we don't want negative p. We want positive p. So 2 is equal to p. In the other one, subtract 8 from both sides. We get negative 14 is equal to negative p. So it becomes positive 14. So I'm going to use my calculator on this one. Absolute value of 8 minus 2. Close my parentheses because the absolute value bars end minus 11. I get negative 5, and then I'm going to check 14. Now look at what happened. Whoops. No. I changed the wrong number. My bad. 8 minus 14. Let's try that again. We're okay. That one checked out. Okay, both of those checked out. 2 and 14 both work. Alrighty, let's look at number 10. Absolute value of 3a plus 12 over 9 is equal to 0. So we multiply both sides by 9. What happens when we multiply 0 by 9? We still got 0. Okay, does 0 have a negative? No. It only has, it's 0 is neither negative nor positive, okay, because 0 is the center. So this one is only going to have one solution, okay? We only have one case here because there's no such thing as negative or positive 0. It just is what it is. So we subtract the 12. We divide by 3. We get a is negative 4. Since this seems to be a little bit of a weird case, I definitely want to check it. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 plus 12 is 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0. 0 divided by 9 is 0. Okay? So kind of weird case, but it does work out. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. Okay. Couple more, and then y'all practice, and then we'll finish up the last few. All right, number 11. 9 minus 4, absolute value of c plus 10 is equal to negative 15. Now, let me tell you what the majority of people want to do so bad.
They want to subtract it.
Yes, they want to do the 9 minus the 4. They want to go ahead and subtract 9 minus 4. And you can't do that. Okay, you cannot do that. Can anybody tell me why you cannot do that?
Because you won't get the correct answer.
Well, yeah, I the correct answer. Yes, the negative 4 is being multiplied by that absolute value. Multiplication comes before subtraction in the order of operations. So you cannot combine those numbers. You can't do it. You got to start by subtracting the 9. So that gives us, what, negative 24? Then we divide by -4. C plus 10 absolute value is equal to +6. So we're good. Two cases. C plus 10 is equal to 6. C plus 10 is equal to -6. Subtract 10. C is equal to -4. Subtract 10. C is equal to -16. -4 plus 10 is 6. -4 times 6 is -24. 9 minus 24 is -15. -16 plus 10 is -6. Absolute value is +6, so obviously we're in the same boat. So both of these check out. Okay, number 12, it's not as tempting to make that mistake because those two numbers aren't right beside each other. So let's just go ahead and start by subtracting 8. We get -24 is equal to -12. Absolute value, k over 5. Divide by -12. 2 is equal to the absolute value of k over 5. Two cases. 2 is equal to k over 5. -2 is equal to k over 5. So 10 is equal to k because we multiply by 5. And -10 is equal to k. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you both of those work out. All right, so